This is Scott the Fix It Guy with a quick fix for you on a Wolf oven that won't heat. And there's a couple ways you can get to the igniter to replace it. One way is by taking off this bottom panel. It just lifts up. You lift it up and pull it out towards you. And I'm unscrewing these wire nuts that are going between the igniter and the oven's power supply. There's two of them. Usually they're not this bigger type of wire nut. Usually they're just these smaller ceramic ones. So remove the two wire nuts, and then I'm going to be pulling the igniter assembly out from the front. And to do that, we just have to remove two Phillips head screws that are holding the igniter in position. And then we have to remove one small sheet metal panel, and it's held in by two Phillips head screws. So once we get that panel out of the way, we get the two Phillips head screws from the igniter bracket, and then we can pull the igniter bracket and the old igniter out through the front. You can also do this by opening up the oven door and removing the floor panel of the oven door and taking it out that way. This way may be a little faster and pretty easy procedure. We use a common flat igniter. You can get this specifically for Wolf, or you can use the more generic Electrolux one that is available at Amazon.com and a lot of appliance supply stores. So we got the sheet metal panel off. We got the two Phillips head screws out for the igniter assembly, and then we pull the igniter assembly out toward us. And then there's two Phillips head screws holding the igniter onto the bracket. You just unloosen those, put the new igniter onto the bracket, and then once that's done, we'll feed the bracket with the new igniter back into the oven cavity, and we'll tighten up the screws that hold the bracket to the frame, and then we'll hook up our electrical connectors. Probably do this whole procedure in about 15 minutes. Be pretty easy. It is important to make sure you have the unit unplugged, or you can turn the breaker off. I had to strip back a little bit of the insulation from the wires that were coming from the oven to the igniter, because the wire or the terminals were just missing a couple of the strands of wire, so I wanted to expose some new fresh wire. So here's the new igniter going back into the oven cavity. Just take your time. There's not a lot of space here to get this in, so take your time. Might have to twist it around a little bit. And then once you get it in position, you can add those two screws that hold it in. This particular oven, when the igniter was going bad, the safety valve would open prematurely and let a lot of gas build up inside the oven cavity. And the ignition would happen late because the igniter was so weak, and it would cause a small explosion, and the oven door came flying open, and the customer actually had their eyebrow singed by a ball of fire that came out. It's not supposed to happen, but when you have a late ignition, it's just a good time to replace the igniter, because you don't want that type of symptom to go on. It should only take about 60 seconds maximum for the oven to light. If it's taking longer, it's just time for a new igniter. They tend to go maybe 4 or 5 years before they get kind of worn out and cause a delayed ignition. And those generic ones probably cost around $35 to $40 online, and they work just as well as the ones that are designed specifically for wolf. So now we're going to put our sheet metal part back in, and then add the 2 screws that hold it in position. And once that's all done, you can just put the cover back on and you're done. We'll test it out. We'll turn on the oven. We'll see the igniter start to glow. And then we should see a nice blue flame. If you're getting a flame that has some yellow tinges, you may have to adjust the air-fuel mixture. It's pretty easy to do too. So there's our glow. And then the safety valve will let the gas flow in, and it should ignite and give you a nice blue flame. There we go. That's a good blue flame. That looked great. So we can close it up. We'll put that front panel back on. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to put the little sheet metal panel, access panel on first. Put the kick panel back on, and that one doesn't have any screws. It just pushes in, and then you pull down slightly and it drops down on a couple of catches. Hope this has been helpful to you and you got your wolf running good again. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe when you get a chance.